What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another great video with everything Averin. Yes, it's been an extremely long time, few months since I've posted a video. I've just been extremely busy with a whole bunch of different stuff going on. My fish tank blew out, fixing the house, repairing flood damage. The GTR's had its share of mishaps with nails in the tires and a new set of wheels. A whole bunch has been going on for the past few months, which is why it's been so long since I posted. Nonetheless, today is a video with my 2015 GTR. If you guys want to see a bunch of pictures on this guy, check out my Instagram. I'll put a link down below. I got the hood already popped open in the GTR. As you can see by the thumbnail, we're going to be doing the spark plugs. Alright guys, so I'm going to try to speak loud because I got the evap system going in the background. I'm going to try to make this video as short and sweet as possible, so we're going to jump right into it. First thing, you're going to need to get you a set of Allen wrench heads or an Allen key, whatever you have, and you're going to take off your engine cover. So now that we got that out the way, next thing up is we're going to actually start taking off a bunch of stuff that's connected to this intake manifold. One thing you need to know about GTRs, unfortunately, is your spark plugs are actually underneath the manifold, and you cannot get to them without taking this guy out. First thing I like to take off is actually the charge pipes that are connected to the throttle bodies. You don't have to take off the throttle bodies. I've found that it's pretty simple just to take off your charge hose itself, and then we'll disconnect the throttle body electric connector, and we can actually get it out the way there. 10mm for me. Take off my hose clamp. We'll go ahead and disconnect your throttle bodies. I'll go ahead and actually get my charge pipes out the way for the moment. Pop off the throttle body just like that. Next up, you're going to go ahead and get your blow-off valve vacuum tubes. You're going to take those guys off. Not too sure how yours are hung on, but mine are with small little worm gear clamps. So I'm just going to use a flathead with some of the worm gear. Next up, there's going to be a few more hoses that you're going to actually need to disconnect. They're all the ones that are connected to your intake manifold. Over here on the left side, just behind the throttle body, you'll see a little vacuum hose. However you have it clamped, make sure you don't lose the clamp. Mine's just a little tension clamp. I undid that guy. Just behind that, you have what I believe is a map sensor. Same thing like the throttle body. Just unclip that guy, just like that. Over on the driver's side of the vehicle, once again, just behind the throttle body, you have another vacuum tube, vacuum hose if you will, just to make it a little simpler. Let me bring the camera a little closer. So this is the one I was talking to you about. That's the connector right there, or the connection for that little vacuum pipe that's just behind the throttle body. On the driver's side, you actually have two more. There's one kind of hidden. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but it's a little smaller one down there just behind that first one. So same thing with that, pull that off. And then you got one over here which goes to your little brake booster. Same thing here, you'll take off that one. So I'm gonna do that real quick and I'll show you what it looks like up close. All right, now that I have them off, it's a little easier to see. So this is that first one I was talking about. Here's the small little one down there. And then this is the one that connects to your brake booster. Get all those three off on this driver's side. And then a little bit closer towards the middle, you can see right here, there's once again another vacuum line you gotta remove. Once you get that hose removed, over on the back side you'll have this wire harness grommet here, or this wire harness set, and you actually gotta remove that from the intake manifold. You push in on the plastic piece and you should be able to actually pull up on it. So I'll push in with the needle nose, give it a good pull up just like that, and now you'll be able to lift up, take that off of the manifold just like that. Over on the left hand side, or the passenger side of your manifold, you typically will have this guy tied together to the manifold with a zip tie. My zip tie broke, so it's not on there, so I don't actually have to remove it. Just got to push in on this little hole here. That'll actually remove the entire zip tie with the cable harness itself. Mine's not connected, so I don't have to worry about that. Now that we got all those guys removed, we're going to make our way up to the front of the intake manifold. As you see here, we have some evap line system stuff here. I found it easiest to, of course, take off these two 10mm bolts. One here on the left side, one here on the right side. Alright, so now that I got those two bolts undone, and I unplugged the side over here on the driver's side, as you can see, this whole evap line is now free to go. I just kind of bend it back just make sure you check your hoses. If your hoses are kind of old and in bad condition, if you bend them too much, you may actually crack them. But mine are nice and soft and supple, so I just fold mine back like that, and I just set it off to the left-hand side. Now we're going to turn our attention to the bolts holding down the intake manifold itself. Alright guys, so now on the intake manifold itself, there is 8 bolts in this manifold, and we're actually going to have to take them off in a specific sequence. I'll probably throw a picture up right now so you guys can see what that sequence is, because it's kind of hard to see on the camera. So I'll take this guy off first, jump over to the diagonal driver's side bolt, take that off. Now you're actually ready to go ahead and take off the intake manifold. But be careful, because you do have a gasket in between the top of the intake manifold and the lower portion of the intake manifold. So I'm just going to make sure I'm clearing everything. Charge pipes, lift up slowly, and just make sure we are good to go. And there we go. Alright guys, so over here I brought the intake manifold. This is actually the underside. As you can see here, here's my gasket. It actually stayed in place on the manifold. So I'm not going to move it too much. I'm just going to leave it there. But that's how you can get a good look at your intake ports, just like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to be very careful over here at the vehicle, because now you got some cylinders open because the valves are open. So I like to put a piece of masking tape right across all of those ports to make sure no debris gets in them while we're doing the spark plug change. So just like any other vehicle with a spark plug change, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the connectors on the coil packs, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolt. It's another 10mm bolt, and then we'll get these coil packs taken out. Personally, I like to leave them in the orientation they are. It just helps me troubleshoot in case there's any issues with your ignition system. You can remember which cylinder goes to which coil and which plug. Alright guys, now that we got the coil packs out, as you can see I have them laid up on the side in the correct orientation of how I pulled them out. So now you have access to where your spark plugs are, down in each one of those holes. Just like I've done in every spark plug change video that I've ever done, I do one cylinder at a time to reduce the chance of anything falling in. So I'll show you exactly what I'm going to do on one cylinder, and then it's literally just a rinse and repeat process for the other 6, or the other 5 rather. Let's go ahead and get started. I'll start with this front left one, and I'll show you what I do. So like I say in every single one of my spark plug videos, guys, use a universal joint. Right here what you guys are seeing is a special little adapter, or a special little spark plug wrench, which I'll put a link down below because it helped out so much. It is the perfect size for the GTR spark plugs, as well as it has an integrated universal pivoting joint, which like I said before, that helps you prevent any lateral stress on the spark plugs, which could cause it to snap. It is an affiliated link, so if you do purchase from my link, I do receive a commission, and I do say thank you because it helps me make videos like this today. It's a 14mm if you want to know. I have an extension, 6-inch extension, and of course I got my drill here. Simply we'll make our way over to that first cylinder. Boom, feels like we're on that guy. Go ahead and loosen it up. There you go. And she's out. Spark plug tool holds on to the spark plugs, and there we go. Alright guys, so now that you got your spark plug out, you can go ahead and kind of set them side by side. I got the new one still wrapped up because I just want to make sure there's no debris on it. But nonetheless, like always, you can take a look at the spark plug, take a look at the threads, and up close to the bottom to where the electrode is. You can kind of see how the engine is running. Mine's definitely wet, but that's because I run real rich. Most high boost vehicles will run on the richer side rather than the leaner side. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now, take out the new spark plug, apply some anti-seize to the threads. I like to use the high temp copper formula for the block, and that's because of, once again, the high temp capabilities. So I'm gonna go ahead and coat the threads of this guy with the anti-seize, get it put back on my little socket here, and we'll get it threaded back into the block. Guys, one thing I did fail to mention before we put the spark plug back in is that these are the OEM spark plugs, I think they're DILK AR8A8. I'll put that little part number on the screen because that makes no sense when I say it out loud. So they're already pre-gapped. I believe they're pre-gapped to 0.032 inches. So I actually changed them just down a little bit to 0.030. So I took the socket off of the drill because you always want to start by hand. You do not want to start with a machine of any sort, because you want to make sure that you are not cross-threading. And with a drill or any type of machine, you can't really tell. So always start, like I said, by hand. Once you feel the threads grip and you get down to where it's tight, then you can shift back over to your drill or whatever you want. I'm jumping straight to the torque wrench. You want to torque your spark plugs to 14 foot-pounds, or I'm using an inch-pound wrench, which is 168 inch-pounds. Be very careful. Make sure you stop right when you hit that torque of the 14 or the 168, depending on what type of tool you're using. Boom, there you go. And that's literally it. So I'm going to repeat that process for the other 5, and that's literally how we're going to replace these guys. So let me fast forward, put these other 5 in, and we'll get ready to actually start reassembling. So fast forward, like I said, we got the spark plugs in, we got the coil packs in. Simply just clip them back in with the clips and tighten the bolt down. You want to tighten that to 62 inch-pounds if you want to be specific, or just tighten them till they're snug. So all 6 are in. There's the last plug that I need to actually connect, and there we go. So now it's time to go ahead and get the intake manifold. Bring it back over. We'll take the tape off, make sure it's nice and centered. I'm gonna need 2 hands for this, so I'll kind of hang you guys up and hopefully you guys can see what we do here. Alright guys, I have the intake manifold in my hand. I'm gonna make sure you get your gasket lined up perfectly with this sealing surface. We're gonna watch for hoses and clamps and all that stuff. Try our best to set it as flat in there as possible. It's gonna be difficult because the throttle bodies are gonna wanna kind of lean on top of the hoses of the charge pipes. So you kind of want to slide one side in, then I'll push over to the left. Once you have them both on the throttle body for the most part, you kind of want to fall into place. There we go. Kind of fell right into place. So we're actually literally almost lined up 100%. So now that we look good, we're going to go ahead and get some bolts in. So don't worry about tightening them down quite yet. Just get them in, get them started, make sure the threads are not cross-threading. So we got all the screws in there, we got them in place. So now we're going to go ahead and get tightening. You're going to tighten in the same order that we loosened earlier, so kind of like a star pattern. Tighten them down. You're going to be tightening down to 9 foot-pounds. So if you have an inch-pound wrench, that conversion is about 108 inch-pounds. And in that sequence, we're going to go ahead and get tightened. Now that you got all those torqued down, you're ready to start plugging back in all the vacuum hoses. I'll start in the back. I'll get this wiring harness back up and on that little clip that I took it off of earlier. There we go. I'll get this back middle vacuum hose. Push that on there. Back over here on the driver's side, 3 vacuum tubes that we had earlier. I'll get those guys put back on. The big one for your brake booster. That should push right on. Then we're going to move our way up to the front a little bit. We got the driver's side blow-off valve hose. So that one also uses a flathead type clamp, worm gear clamp. Of course, connect your throttle body back in. There we go. So we'll move up to the front. So this is where we took off that evap system pipe, or that hose, whatever you want to call it. Set it back into place. So I ended up taking off both hoses on both sides. Push those hoses back in place. There's the driver's side one, and there's the passenger side one. Just like that. Line the mounts up with the holes on both sides. I'm just going to barely go with the drill. You don't have to be crazy tight. Now over on the left hand side, go ahead and get the blow off valve tube. Push that guy back on there. Then we got the passenger side throttle body. That clicks back in. You have the one vacuum hose over here just behind the throttle body connector. Push that guy back on. Don't forget your map sensor. I believe that's a map sensor. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I believe that is it. Last but not least, let me tighten down my charge pipes real quick. Now that you've got your charge pipes nice and secure, got all your connections made, that is it. You have successfully changed your spark plugs on your GTR. We're done for today, and that's it. So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. You have completed another project on your GTR, another project with everything Averin. I'm gonna go ahead and get inside. It is extremely hot and extremely humid because it's the monsoon season, and I'm sweating my butt off. Thank you for watching. First time at the channel, hit that subscribe button below. Make sure you comment. Tell me what you guys think about these videos. Tell me if you got any more ideas for me. I'm always open to anything. Other than that, thank you guys again for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one.